Hey guys, it's Mark.
And it's Michelle.
And we're going to try this again.
This is Mark and Michelle, by the way.
Exactly.
Not that you don't know.
Right. And we wound up doing this in the private group instead of out here on the page for everybody. So we're going to do it in the right place so you guys can see it. Well, we wanted to talk about beliefs tonight. Yes, again. Why? Because they are so important. They are the...
Well, and we've had things happen.
We have. And they are at the core of why and why you don't do things. Literally, they are, right? In fact, we're going to talk about that tonight. So, you want to go ahead and start?
I really like what I read recently is that beliefs are the palette, the painter's palette that you use to create your life moment by moment.
Mm-hmm.
So are the beliefs that are in your consciousness serving you at your highest? Help me out, Mark.
For your highest potential.
For your highest.
For your best life.
Is it bringing you what you want in your life? Hi, Marlo.
Marlo!
Or are you floundering?
Mm-hmm. Sending mixed messages to yourself and to everyone else about who you are and what you want.
So something that happened to me this week, and I just want you guys to know that I have been on this journey since 2009, purposefully changing beliefs.
Well, 2008.
Oh, 8.
July of 2008.
Thank you.
July 8th of 2000.
So this is the 11th year that I've purposely worked on changing the beliefs in my consciousness.
Yes, Marlo, and almost everyone does.
Yeah.
So don't feel bad because we've been having mixed messages up until today. So
from 2008.
Yes.
Well, actually, I had a big thing happen on the 27th, or was it the 28th?
20, I think it was Monday.
Monday. Oh man, I don't remember. It's like lifetimes have gone by.
I know, it feels like it.
But I got down to a core belief, and from our experience, if you find the core belief, your life changes instantaneously. Your external world,
yes, it does,
changes instantly.
And she's going to tell her story.
So in my life, I had 3 perceived betrayals that were major. And I have worked on those so many times using EFT or forgiveness. But sometimes you're not ready to give them up until you're ready to give them up.
Yes.
And I had never thought from this angle before that those 3 betrayals combined made me believe that no one loved me. And that is where I lived my life from. And when I found it the other day, it wasn't easy to get rid of it. I used a lot of different things. But once I got it out, my outlook on life was completely different. Mark said, I don't recognize you.
Yes, because her and I both were very much alike, worried and felt insecure about life and how things were going and working out and this type of stuff. And so she worked on that very deep core belief of feeling unloved. Ellie! Of that core deep belief of feeling unloved. And it changed her life overnight. And so now she's happy-go-lucky again. And yeah, because you would like that. Well, you would like that when you were a teenager. Your mom said you were, a whirlwind.
That long ago, yeah.
Yeah, 30-something years ago.
That makes sense.
And so she worked on that forgiveness using EFT and affirmations and stuff like that.
Well, what I will say is all the work that I had done up to that point snapped into place when I got rid of that core belief. So all that work that I had done was not wasted work. But finding that core belief, everything just disappeared. All the paranoia, and how else would you describe how I had been?
Insecure, untrusting,
Yeah.
Paranoid. Well, you just said
Yeah,
that,
I did.
didn't you? But that really gets the gist of it.
Now I had to work really hard to work around that. So I tried really hard to love people and to love myself. And I felt like I did love myself, but there was just this thing, this block that was keeping me from just being it. And when that released, like Mark said to me tonight, it's like a cap came off.
Yeah. Like you took the plug out of an oil well, and which is appropriate to Oklahoma, but like the plug out of an oil well, and now oil is shooting sky high, you know. And
life is so easy now. It's been a lot of work, and to find that, I was pretty disappointed to find that, because I had done so much work. And then it was really hard to get rid of it. It was like my heart grew 3 times, just like the Grinch. I felt like I'm living the Grinch. I understand the Grinch.
Yep. And you became like the Grinch after his heart grew 3 sizes too big, you know? And that's the thing. For instance, you want to change your health. You want to be healthy. You want to heal. And
he's gonna knock it over.
And knock that off. And but you've been conditioned by your family life, by society. No, you can't heal. Who do you think you are to heal? You're not worth healing. You're not worthy of doing the work. The work is too hard, you know, with the assumption that you can't handle it. You know, you're too you're lazy or something, you know. And all of those things are beliefs, which is why we talk about it so much, because we had to clear. In fact, recently on maybe a podcast or one of our lives a week or two ago, we talked about how many years of work we did before we even started diets again to heal. And so 10 to 13 for me, it was 3.5 years for me and 5 for her. And so that's how much internal work, getting rid of old beliefs and getting rid of feelings of feeling unworthy and feeling lazy and unmotivated and this kind of thing. That's how many years of work we had to do before we could actually physically start healing.
Well, and there is a trick. You have to be willing to recognize if you're blaming someone for something, you've got to be willing to recognize that you actually caused it.
Now,
you actually
explain what you mean by caused.
Whatever that situation is, it was a belief that put you there. That sounds really scary and harsh.
It does, and too much responsibility.
Yeah. But until you're willing to see that, you can't get rid of beliefs because you can't see that they're there.
And so what she's saying is, I don't probably need to
go ahead, because someone will need it to hear it a different way.
Is that because of how you think, either about yourself or about the world, your thoughts about yourself or the world literally determine what you get back from the world. The world or other people are your mirror, is a mirror to you. And so what you put out there, you get back. And when that's the case, whatever you get back is telling you how you are. It's like looking in a mirror, right? if you have a zit on your forehead above your right eye, when you look in the mirror, you're going to see that zit on your forehead above your right eye, you know. But it's the same way with your feelings about the world, your thoughts about the world, all that kind of stuff. And our friend Marlo says she totally believes that. Glad you do, because
you can change your life if you do.
You can, because that's you taking responsibility for what you're seeing in your mirror.
It actually is a superpower.
It is.
If you are willing to feel really uncomfortable and recognize that it's something in you that created that external world, that means you can go in and take it out and put something in that you want to see in your external world.
Yep.
That is a superpower, guys.
It is. Marlo says, what you put into it is what you get out of it. Exactly. Mm-hmm. And not just with the work, but what you put into you is what you get out of you. And
if you're constantly thinking the world is a terrible place, you are going to see it.
Mm-hmm. But realize that it's not your fault.
Right.
In other words, you got programmed by your parents, by peers, by teachers, by ministers, by other adults when you were growing up. And so it's not your fault in the sense of you are culpable, you have sinned, so to speak. It's just that now that you are aware of it, you can respond to it. See, that's what responsibility means, the ability to respond, right? It has the connotation of carrying a burden of this or that or whatever else. But it's so difficult. Marlo says, yeah, but it's so difficult. It is. But
it's simple, but it's not easy.
Right. And our an author that we used to read, Louise Hay, that's what she said, what Michelle just quoted, was that the process is simple, but the work is not easy.
Except, finding the belief in the first place can be difficult.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It can be, because it can be buried under years of other beliefs or feelings. Feelings can lead you to a belief too. If you feel ashamed in the presence of a certain group of people, then you may feel unworthy. You may believe yourself to be unworthy. Mm-hmm. Because that was something I encountered tonight, and I thought, gonna have to get rid of that. You feel shame over that, and so
an example of me, after I found this core belief, I found another core belief, but it wasn't as deep.
Mm-hmm.
I was noticing that every time Mark was uncomfortable about something, I assumed it was my fault. And I really thought about that and looked backwards and recognized that I have been doing this forever. I found where it started. And I said, okay, this belief is, it's my fault. What did I say it was? It's my fault that people...
It's your fault that people feel that way.
Or
getting angry. Mm-hmm.
So I always made it my fault.
Mm-hmm.
So I got rid of that, and oh my goodness, my world is just bright and shiny.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because it's a lot of responsibility to think, okay, I have to tiptoe around this person. Actually, every single person I ever encounter, I have to tiptoe around them and make sure I don't offend anybody. And I was doing that, and now I'm totally free. That's so much more energy that's mine.
Yep. Because it's not expended and going, what do I have to avoid to keep this person happy or keep them from being unhappy? Well, see, we all grow up with hearing this. See what you made me do? Or it's your fault when it's obviously the person's fault who's blaming you, right? Blame is an easy game, right? But real men and women, yeah, I'm going to say that. Real men and real women, and what I mean by that is mature men and women, say, okay, you know what? Sure, I feel that. Our friend Marlo is asking, how do you get rid of it? How do you let go?
Well, I have to use energy medicine. It's not just EFT where you tap it out. I don't even know if it would work for someone else. I imagine, because I think my body is a quantum computer,
Mm-hmm.
I imagine circuitry for things that have been programmed into me are in me. And so I imagine a circuit breaker box for whatever the belief is. And I turn it off, and then I cut it out, and I pull out the box, and I dispose of it. And then I do forgiveness prayer. Like I'm burning out all of the all the wires. I'm burning them out with the forgiveness prayer. I forgive myself. I forgive those involved. Forgive us, forgive us, Father, Mother, God. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I imagine these wires burning out of me. And sometimes I ask for spiritual guidance on the other side to help me unravel, because some of these, like the first one, what was the first one? Nobody Loves Me. Mm-hmm. That was so entwined. It took 2 or 3 days to really process that out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm saying a lot of weird things here, so I don't know.
It doesn't matter that they're weird because they're speaking to people.
Yeah. Well, I think we're computers. We're quantum.
Yeah.
And so I live my life from that space.
You're welcome. Hopefully that helps. You've heard us talk about those things before, but that's the thing. If you can change one belief and then the next day your entire life is different, then you have
totally different.
You have a mastery over yourself that you never had before. And what I was saying a little bit ago about mature men and women take responsibility for how they feel and how they act. And so, and I don't mean that to say they apologize for how they act or how they feel. No. They take responsibility for the emotions that they have. They look at themselves and go, I'm not sure where this came from, but it seems as if it's bothering me and it's something that's in my past. What can I do to move it out of my life so I am free of it? Right? And I think that's what mature men and women do, is they change their lives internally so that they aren't reactive people to everything that goes on in life.
Because the truth is, everything happens inside yourself before it gets projected on the external screen. Mm-hmm. So if you aren't having positive, and I don't mean that in a cheesy way, I mean things that are the best, in your best interest, happening inside yourself, then your outside it's just a projection. Mm-hmm. You're just not going to see what you want. So you have to really go inward and focus on your insides if you want a life that's amazing.
You have to do the internal work before the external work becomes what you want.
So we didn't even talk about your doubt today, so let's talk about that.
Well, so I had been working on, ever since December of 2013, I have been actively working on breaking my pattern of worry. All right. And that has been a huge, huge deal for me, because when you worry, it really saps your energy. It really eats away at it. And my mom, she's a worrier, and I probably picked that habit up from her, undoubtedly. But then she picked it up from her mother, and her mother probably picked it up from her mother. And listening to my mom talk,
emotional things can be passed down genetically.
Yeah, the habits. Fear. Remember
about the fear.
Yeah, because I posted a scientific article that shows that fear can be encoded into your genes, literally, and passed down to 2 generations. Think about that. That means you can actually encode an emotional effect into your genes and pass it down.
And you may have been born into a body that was extra like that, and that's not actually who you are.
Mm-hmm. Right. And so I've been working on this for 6 years. Hey, Kelly, how are you? And been working on breaking this worry pattern for 6 years. Well, so I've done all kinds. I've probably done 100 different, removed 100 different emotions just around worry, and traumas and things like that. And I kept going. What is the basic core emotion behind worry? I mean, what is it? And this morning, Michelle and I were talking about money issues and how we still felt a little bit negatively about it. And oh, Marla says that's deep. Okay, I'm not sure what's deep because I don't remember. but thank you. And but we were talking about issues that still resonated negatively with us. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, and all of a sudden it pops into my head, oh, it's doubt. Doubt is the supporting structure underneath worry.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, so let's take out the circuitry, as Michelle talked about a little bit ago. Let's take out the circuitry for doubt, the emotional circuitry for doubt.
Tell them how you did that, because his was a little different.
How was mine different here? You did the same thing.
Yeah, but you used a ray gun.
Oh. See, these are all visualizations, right?
Yeah.
And you have to trust yourself.
Right, being born with fear from ancestors.
Exactly.
Yes.
That fear actually gets encoded into your DNA for at least 2 generations.
That's why you have to figure out how to get stuff out that's not necessarily yours.
Exactly. You got past that. You may have gotten past that, inherited that fear, and you had no control over that. You just inherited it. And so it's not yours. And there are other things that probably happen like that too. It's just, if you're taking responsibility for who you are in your life, you have to find a way to remove that from your life so that you don't pass it on to your kids. So, so today my visualization was removing this big circuit breaker box, the kind with the little lever that you pull down and it turns off all the power to it, this kind of thing. So I had this huge doubt circuit breaker box popped up in my mind. I was this little tiny human with this big circuit breaker box like the size of a football field. I'm like, okay, it's time to get rid of this. If I've got this much doubt, hey, Lori, if I've got this much doubt, I'm going to have to remove it. So I thought, man, this is just too big to just cut all the power cables to and that kind of stuff. So I had to have a laser. I put on a jetpack. I visualized myself putting on a jetpack and flying up to the top power cables and using a laser gun to cut through them. And then I flew down to the bottom of the circuit breaker box and cut through the
keep going.
Yeah, from the bottom circuit breakers and cut through those power cables. And then I envisioned myself with a ray gun and shrinking the circuit breaker box down to really tiny, and then opening a door to another universe and pushing it through and closing that door. And so after removing all of that, I immediately felt better.
It's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And so from then on, my day's been wonderful, and it's going to stay that way because I removed that from my life. And Michelle used a similar visualization, but doubt was underpinning every decision I made. I never trusted myself. Well, are you sure? As a friend of mine said today, I helped her with the same thing because I knew she was dealing with it too. And she goes, doubt is that little devil that sits on your shoulder and whispers, are you sure? And I said, yeah, exactly. And you have to get rid of that. You have to move that out of your life. I wouldn't call it a little devil. I would call it a forgotten emotion, so to speak, that still still lurking in the background, influencing how you live and how you decide, how you make decisions in life. So, for me, that's the way I do it, and it worked great. So that was our beliefs. That's why it's so important. Healing isn't just eating the right fruit or doing the heavy metal detox smoothie. Because this friend I helped today with the doubt, she's doing the heavy metal detox smoothie and the celery juice. And she had been last week, but she stopped because the detox got too much. And it's been it's been 8 days now, and she's still feeling the emotional effects of the detox.
Wow.
and she's a little tiny. And so she's been having a rough time because, emotions come up and come out when you detox that heavily.
Yes.
And so, in fact, that might have been all the other emotions she was feeling. They may not have been actually attached to doubt, So anyway, so I helped her through that today. But, healing is far more than just physical. There is emotional, and, the emotional takes care of the mental, but there's emotional healing that's absolutely required. It's absolutely required. In fact, sometimes you have to do that. Like we've said, we had to do a lot of emotional healing before we could even physically heal. And so that's the thing. You definitely need to do your emotional healing at the same time you're doing your physical healing. In fact, I think your physical healing will push you into doing your emotional healing.
Yes. Yes. I don't know anybody who's tried to do this medical medium stuff and hasn't had stuff come up and had to deal with it.
Yep, exactly. And we've talked about the tools. We've given you the tools, and our friend Marlo says she's wondering why her daughter's been screaming the last few days. Has she been screaming nonstop, or?
Kelly, we'll get to you after the show.
We will. And so that's why we talk about beliefs so much, is because your beliefs underpin everything you do, every decision you make, and many of your emotions.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Anything you?
No, it feels pretty good to me.
That's why, guys, use the tools we've given you. The EFT, forgiveness prayer, or forgiveness, either way.
Visualizations, like we just talked about.
Visualizations, exactly. Using
There's
those tools.
Imageries.
Exactly, imagery. Yeah.
So much imagery.
Yeah.
That you can use.
You can use all of that to change your life, and so don't let these emotional issues just stagnate. Take care of them when you can, because you've got the tools now.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, guys, keep doing the celery juice, heavy metal detox smoothie, and the lemon water. Definitely go to www.healyourautism.com/buy the book so that you can get Heal Your Autism's Do-It-Yourself Guide. Healing Begins in Your Kitchen. That's our detox guide, right? You can purchase the book on that page. There's a bunch of freebies that come with that book that make it even more worthwhile than just reading the book. We've had a few reviews on the book, and everybody's in love with the detox guide, all right? But you can also get our book, Buried Alive, One Man's Journey Out of Autism, which is on the first page of our website at www.healyourautism.com.
And we offer coaching.
We do. And our coaching you can sign up for on the website as well. So, all right, guys, we will see you tomorrow and talk to you then.
Okay.